The Super Bowl is in the books. The Kansas City Chiefs are world champions. And on this edition of Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports, we will look at the top 5 players from Sunday's game who could be a good fit for the Baltimore Ravens that are going to be available in free agency. I got some guys to look at from both Kansas City and San Francisco. We will dissect those in just a moment. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. Before we dive into those names, quick survey for the flock out there. I want to know, when we talk free agents, who is the greatest Ravens free agent signing of all time? No wrong answers here. Just want to get your opinion of what the flock thinks. Name a player or two that comes to mind of who the Ravens have signed over the years that you think was the greatest signing. Chime in. Let me know what you think in the comments section. We'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with Chase Young. Chase Young is a name that we've talked about quite a bit on this program. He was a potential trade target for the Ravens back at the trade deadline. Ultimately, he ended up in San Francisco after starting his career with the Washington Commanders. And Chase Young, this is somebody that is extremely talented, right? Former number 2 overall pick out of Ohio State. And what we've seen with the Baltimore Ravens over the last few seasons is no team has been better at developing pass rushers and getting the most out of their guys than the Baltimore Ravens defense. A guy that's looking to reach his full potential like Chase Young would be a natural fit in this Ravens defense. He was underutilized, I thought, in San Francisco and in Washington previously as well, and really could thrive with this Ravens team. You look at what he's done. You go back to 2020. Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year. The talent is there, but it's waiting to be unleashed, and that's where the Baltimore Ravens come in. Not to mention, you look at this Baltimore Ravens team and where they're at when it comes to these pass rushers. They got some older guys, and they are going to lose a couple of players in free agency this offseason anyway. So why not go younger and potentially make an upgrade here with a guy like Chase Young? You look at the statistics from Chase Young. He had a bounce-back season in 2023 with 7.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 25 tackles. His best season since his rookie year back in 2020, when he also had 7.5 sacks that year, had 4 forced fumbles, 13 tackles for loss, and 44 tackles. Let's see if he wants to make a return to the Mid-Atlantic. So, now let's ask you, should the Ravens sign Chase Young? It's our pinned comment today. Put on your GM hat and let us know if you'd like to see the Ravens bring him in. Y for yes, in for no way in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Got a great deal that we're offering Ravens fans. Not only do we have these Ravens hats on sale at chatsports.com/RavensHats, but I'm going to sweeten the pot a little bit here for you folks. These hats, as well as many others, there is quite the selection to choose from. There are hats available up to 50% off, but only for a limited time. And also at chatsports.com/RavensHats, there's some of them that we're offering free shipping on as well. So go ahead and check it out for yourself. See if there's a Ravens hat you like, and snag one up while supplies last. Only for a limited time. chatsports.com/RavensHats. Hats up to 50% off. Also got some free shipping on some of them as well. Check it out now. chatsports.com/RavensHats. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Next up, we turn our attention to the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's where we find corner LJarius Sneed next on our list. And we've talked on this channel over the last couple of weeks that one of the areas of need for this Baltimore Ravens team in 2024 is trying to find help in the cornerback room. And Sneed could be a difference maker for this team. You look at the Super Bowl and the impact that some of these players had. LJarius Sneed was a guy that made a huge difference for this Kansas City Chiefs team. I know that everybody is talking about Trent McDuffie, and rightfully so. Trent McDuffie played really well in the Super Bowl and really all season long, but LJarius Sneed also had a big impact in his own right, really locking down some of those top 49ers wide receivers in the role that he played. Not only did he win a Super Bowl this year, he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Former 4th-round pick out of Louisiana Tech, was on the all-rookie team in 2020. And I think this is a guy that's starting to come into his own. If you're the Baltimore Ravens and you want to sign a guy like LJarius Sneed, you are getting him potentially right in the thick of the prime of his career. The Ravens last offseason spent money at the corner position bringing in Rock Ya-Sin, and that didn't really work out. I think if you go with a guy like LJarius Sneed, that could be a very nice upgrade for this corner room. The statistics from LJarius Sneed this past season included 78 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 14 pass breakups, which was a career high, along with 2 interceptions. As you can see, the consistency in the 4 years that he's been in the National Football League, he's had at least 2 interceptions and 7 pass breakups in all 4 of those seasons. So LJarius Sneed, I would like a lot for this Baltimore Ravens team. Next up, we stay in Kansas City, and we find Willie Gay Jr. at the linebacker position. The Baltimore Ravens, it's going to be a tall task to try to keep Patrick Queen in town. With the money that Patrick Queen is going to command and have interest from other teams, you may not be able to keep Patrick Queen this offseason. If you're looking for a potential alternative of some sorts, Willie Gay Jr. might not be a bad option, especially when you consider Trenton Simpson, who they drafted, and everybody's hoping can step in and do well in a increased role. There's question marks about how ready he is, because at times when we saw Trenton Simpson on the football field, kind of looked like a deer in headlights as far as that goes. Gay wouldn't be a bad potential replacement. And think about this, okay? The thing with Patrick Queen that stood out so much, that made him so good, was when they brought in Roquan Smith, right? And that's when we really saw Patrick Queen's play really elevate. What about if you're Willie Gay Jr., okay, and I pair you with Roquan Smith? Then I think Willie Gay Jr. is only going to get better by playing alongside Roquan Smith and having a really good duo there. We mentioned the 2 Super Bowls he's been a part of, been very consistent, 57 career games played, 47 starts for the former second-round pick out of Mississippi State. His numbers, I mean, they don't jump off the page necessarily. 58 tackles this past year, 1 sack and 1 interception, but with having Roquan Smith there, that kind of takes the pressure off, and Willie Gay Jr. potentially could take that next step and not cost you a ton of money, I would think, when it comes to the free agency period this go-round. Between those 2 chief players that I just mentioned, which one would you rather sign? If you had to pick one to sign, would you rather go with LJarius Sneed, or would you rather go with Willie Gay Jr.? Type L for LJarius Sneed. Type W for Willie Gay Jr. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know which player you would rather have. We are talking about the offseason each and every day here on Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. The latest happenings on your favorite team, we got you covered as we're talking news and rumors. We're breaking down what's happening in free agency, trades, the draft, and more. And anytime the Ravens make a move, we're going to be the first to talk about it. We'll break it down here on the channel. Subscribe now for free. The latest happenings on your favorite team, youtube.com/RavensTV. Best part about it is that when you subscribe, it doesn't cost you a thing. Absolutely 100% free. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. Let's go back to San Francisco now, and we find Javon Kinlaw in this spot at the defensive tackle position. And Kinlaw is fascinating to me because what you could do with Kinlaw is some flexibility potentially here. We talked about previously that with Justin Madubuike hitting free agency, that there's some uncertainty. You would like to have him back, but he is going to cost quite a bit, right? And even if you bring Madubuike back, you could get Kinlaw and shift some things around. I think Kinlaw could hop in to Brent Urban's role and be an upgrade from Urban potentially. And Kinlaw has something to prove of some sorts. It could be kind of a 1-year prove-it deal where it doesn't cost you a whole lot, but be in a situation where the reward outweighs the risk in bringing in a guy like Kinlaw. This is somebody that has potential. A former first-round pick out of South Carolina, was an all-rookie team selection in 2020. I like Kinlaw. I think he could be a good fit for the Ravens and really start to hit his stride and take that next step forward as we've seen other Baltimore Ravens players do on this defense. Last season, Kinlaw had 3.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 25 tackles, and he has missed some time. As you can see, he only played a combined 10 games in 2022 and in 2021, but could be a nice fit for this Ravens defense. The last player on our list, we'll go back to Kansas City, and we find offensive guard Nick Allegretti with the final player that we're talking about today. And you think about this Baltimore Ravens offensive line, okay? With John Simpson and Big Kev headed to free agency, Allegretti could be a serviceable, cheap replacement option for this Baltimore Ravens team. Allegretti didn't get a ton of playing time this year, but he delivered when it mattered. The Chiefs, unfortunately, did not have Joe Thuney at the end of the season in the playoff run as he suffered a injury. And Allegretti had to step up in his place and really did everything that you could ask of him for this Kansas City Chiefs team. 3-time Super Bowl champion, for a former 7th-round pick out of Illinois. He stepped up when it mattered, and that's all that you can ask for a player like that in that circumstance, to be able to fill that void. And the Chiefs' offensive line, the 2 games that he filled in, simply didn't miss a beat. His grades, for a small sample size, aren't that bad either, considerably speaking. 80 snaps in 2023 in the regular season. Overall grade near 69, nice. A pass block grade near 76, run block grade near 65, and most importantly was the guy that still held everything together for the Chiefs despite Thuney going down, and this team still able to win the Super Bowl. So, with that said, we've gone through our 5 players from the Super Bowl that could potentially join the Baltimore Ravens. Who's the player you would like to see the Baltimore Ravens sign? Whether it was one of these 5 names we talked about that was in the Super Bowl or somebody else, weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time here on Ravens Rundown.